Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Okay. Hi, I'm Casey Allen, for those who don't know me. I'm a senior here. And I'm going to be talking about the evolution of the music industry, in specific pop music. Something you guys all know about. Okay, so history about pop music. Started in the 50s and 60s with this guy, Elvis Presley, and the Beatles. They really started this movement. It circulated around the youth. It was really highly commercial, accessible to everyone, widely popular. And since then, it's actually evolved. Instead of meaning like all music that is just popular at the time in general, now it's become its own genre. Pop music is its own genre today. So a recent development that has changed everything in our world, how many times changes the music industry, is the internet. Now there are listening platforms. Music is widely accessible everywhere. SoundCloud, Spotify, Pandora. You can listen to anything you want at any time. So you think with all this new stuff that music would be spreading, it would be diversifying, the industry would be democratizing. That's actually not the case. What's happening is more people than ever are listening to pop. And actually, the songs themselves have decreased in diversity. They're becoming more homogeneous. Temporal variety is going down, which means now all songs sound the same. Pitch content is going down, which means the number of melodies and the number of chords are also going down. And loudness has increased. Loudness is like how noisy a song is, and it actually makes the song less like rich and deep. So as you can see, it has jumped, it has spiked in the last 20 years. So we would say, why is this happening? Oh, okay, sorry. So also the industry is streamlined. So the top 1% of artists nowadays are getting 77% of all the revenue in the industry. So these guys are the ones making the big bucks, and other artists are getting squeezed out. Also, the 10 best-selling songs on the list today are commanding 82% more of the market than they did a decade ago. Also, the top song in 2013, Blurred Lines, was played 70% more on the radio than the top song in 2003. So you might be asking yourself, and what I ask myself is, why is this happening? If we have access to all this music, how come it's streamlining and pop music is becoming more bland? It's because pop music is like mac and cheese. It's like comfort food. Our brains are wired to prefer melodies that we already know. And this is due to something called fluency. Fluency is if a piece of information is consumed fluently over a period of time, it slides right into our expectations, and we're filled with satisfaction and confidence. So, especially in times of stress, you want to like eat mac and cheese and hang out with your old friends and listen to old movies. You don't want to turn on a challenging piece of music. So the other thing of why this is happening is the industry. Sorry, this is supposed to say 3 big labels. It's cut off. The 3 big labels that are dominating the industry are Sony, Warner Brothers, and Universal. These industries have taken advantage of our human tendency to like pop music, and they're exploiting it for profit. They're doing this in 3 ways. The first way is through repeated exposure. Repeated exposure is a scientifically proven way to get the general public to like something. And it's, funnily enough, been likened to Stockholm Syndrome. Is anyone familiar with Stockholm Syndrome? Yeah, it's when a kidnapped person starts sympathizing with their captor. Pop music has become so bad that we're likening it to being kidnapped. So, also data from listening platforms. So Spotify, SoundCloud, Pandora, all those places are giving the data about their listeners to the industries, and the industries are using that data to further carve down pop music, so it appeals to everyone. And also, charts and curated playlists, like Spotify's Top Hits playlist is their #1 playlist right now. Pandora's Popular Music is their #1 shuffle playlist right now. That actually, in and of itself, there's a study done at Columbia University where they sent people to multiple websites and said, listen to whatever music you want. And they were given charts, and obviously enough, they found that the top charted songs were produced, which is not surprising. But what they did then was they changed it around. They inverted the lists. They made the top songs they flipped it. They put the top songs on the bottom and they put the bottom songs on the top. And what they found was, no matter what songs were on the top ranked songs were listened to more than the bottom ranked songs. So just believing something is popular inherently makes it popular. So all of this leads to the formula. This is an actual formula created by students at the University of Bristol for pop music. It's way beyond my ability as a mathematician, so I'm not going to try to explain it, but the effect of this is an art form has become a formula. So why should you care about this? Well, a study done at Heriot-Watt University, actually they studied personality traits and linked them to musical preferences. So you can see here, these are kind of like circular graphs. Levels of creativity are denoted up in the top right. Levels of like how at ease you are denoted in the top left. And how outgoing you are is the bottom. So as you can see, classical and jazz, high levels of creativity, high levels of being at ease and comfortable. And in jazz, most jazz listeners are more outgoing than classical listeners. The surprising result of all these studies was pop music had the least amount of creativity. Actually, out of all the genres, it was the only one that had almost no creativity levels. So, what's the point of this? What am I saying here? Well, here it is. Pop music, people who listen to pop music aren't boring or not creative. Listening to pop music trains our brain to expect less from our creative side. So, back to the comfort food thing. You can't just eat comfort food all the time. You can't just eat mac and cheese and chocolate all the time and expect to be healthy and be able to run around. You have to sprinkle in some green beans and stuff. So, and what's happening is the industry is feeding us the least inspired music that they can, and therefore they're doing us a disservice, all of us. So what's different? So jazz and classical, two music genres that are really unique, really special. And they are this way because they induce theta brainwaves, which those brainwaves are special because they're associated with high levels of creative thinking. They're responsible for those eureka or aha moments. So also classical listeners, they did a study where stroke patients listened to classical music, and they found that stroke patients actually showed improved visual attention when listening to classical music. So another different genre of music is the Grateful Dead. And the reason why I bring them up is because they're the exact opposite of the music industry. They actually strayed away from the music industry. They did not go make records. They actually were famous for their concerts. And the reason why they're famous for their concerts is because they would have millions of people come, and they would have a designated taping section for anyone who wanted to tape and then distribute their music. So they didn't like close off music and maybe you could buy it or make it hard to find it. They actually, every concert was different. So they would change the songs, they would change the pace of the songs, they would interpret songs different ways. So every time you went to a new concert, it was like a new relationship with the band. So the result of this was actually a relationship that was irreplaceable and that the music industry couldn't compete with. And they were hugely popular for a really long time. And there's Jerry Garcia.
Jerry.
So my message to you guys is really, art shouldn't be a formula. We have it on ourselves to challenge ourselves to try different kinds of music, to try to acclimate yourself. It's not going to be easy. I mean, people don't like green beans, but you eat them anyway. I'm saying like jazz music, it's actually way better because jazz music is awesome. It's so cool. If you listen to it and if you try different forms of it, if you listen to Grateful Dead, you'll find that it'll inspire you. And I'm saying that not only should we do that, but we should take the power back from the industry and give it to the artists who we like and who we want to support, because they're getting squeezed out right now because we're feeding into the cycle of the pop industry formula. My favorite band? That's a really hard question. My all-time favorite band would probably either be The Dead or U2. Sorry?
What got you to pick this subject?
What got me to pick this subject? Every time I would like talk to people about music, everyone kind of had their own preferences, but everyone was always reverting back to pop. If you get in a car with somebody, you turn on pop, you turn on the radio. And I was just like, why? Like, it's not good. Yeah.
The graph that had the for loudness and how it's being increased. Oh, you don't have to bring it up. I just wanted to reference that.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, because I've gone to a lot of classical concerts, and they're generally a lot quieter. And what I've noticed about the crowd is like the way they approach the music. Like everyone's sitting down and they're listening respectfully to the music. And I was just wondering, maybe that might have something to do with the actual fact that it's quieter, because you have to be, if you're going to a concert, you have, for a classical band, you have to listen to it and be really quiet. You can't be talking because you'll miss out on it. And for the pop, it said it was much more outgoing, and that's been a lot louder. So maybe the reasons that people go to pop concerts isn't really for the music, it's just as a social event. But the people that go to classical concerts, it's more actually for the music.
Yeah, that's a really good observation.